Welcome back to r/MaliciousCompliance. In this video, a new terrible entitled boss fires OP for being pregnant and doesn't realize that she is not replaceable in the company. Let's dive right into the video. And the title story starts like this. Hey Reddit, this happened a few years ago and I'm still riding the high from it. I've been encouraged to post this here after telling the story at a party. I've kept some details vague to protect myself, so anyway, I live and work in a relatively small new country in Central Asia, think one of the stands. Our primary economy is natural resources, oil, gas and minerals. You name it and we are digging it up or pumping it out. This means our entire national infrastructure is built around pipelines and processing plants, and this is where I come in. I am a geotechnical analyst. Now, that might sound boring, but my job is unique. I don't just look at maps, I'm the person who signs off on the subsurface stability and routing for every major pipeline project in this country. You could say my job is a weird mix of old-school Soviet-era geological surveying, which I learned from my mentor, the only other person who used to do this, and modern high-end satellite resonance imaging software. The old-school part is crucial. Our country is very seismically active. You cannot just trust a computer program, you have to be able to feel the land, read the old charts and understand the deep earth shear risks that the software just is not programmed to see. I am, to put it mildly, the best. Very humble. More importantly, I'm the only person in the entire country who holds a specific international certification, let's call it the ISO XYZ. This certification is required by the big international partners, German, American and the Chinese consortiums, who fund these multi-million-dollar projects. Without my signature on the line, the insurance is void and the funding gets pulled. I worked for the biggest company in the country, we will call them RZ Pipes. I was by far their highest paid technical employee under the executive level, but I was still underpaid for what I did because I was not replaceable. I knew it and they knew it, but I liked my work and the stability was good. I was the department, I had one junior, a kid fresh out of university, who was smart but he was years away from being able to do my job. He could run the software but he could not interpret the data. He was a button pusher and he knew it. RZ Pipes, or AZ Pipes, had been run by the same old guard for decades. They were tough, but they understood the business, they knew my value, and then about a year before this story starts, the old CEO retired and his son-in-law took over as the new general manager. We will call him the nephew. The nephew was a disaster. He was a 30-something guy with a slick-backed haircut, a shiny new MBA from some third-tier American university, and zero field experience. He believed our entire business could be run from an Excel spreadsheet. His mission was to optimize and cut redundancies. I was, in his eyes, a massive redundancy. He could not understand why I was paid so much when, in his words, we have a $2 million software license. He couldn't grasp that the software was a tool, not the talent. Our first run-in was 6 months earlier though. He tried to optimize one of my survey routes, moving it 500 meters to the north to save on pipe length. I refused to sign that. The nephew said, "The computer says this route is 4% cheaper. You will sign it." Me, the computer doesn't know that this is an ancient alluvial flow path. If we get a 6.0 quake, which we get every 10 to 15 years, the ground will liquefy and the pipe will shear. I will not sign this. The nephew said, "This is insubordination. You're costing us millions." Me, I'm saving us millions and a massive environmental disaster. No. He went to the CEO, his father-in-law, who for that one time sided with me. The old guard still had some pull and they backed me up. The nephew was furious, he hated me, he saw me as this unmovable old-fashioned obstacle to his glorious optimized future. I knew from that day that he was waiting for a reason to get rid of me. And then I gave him one. My husband and I had been trying for a baby for years and finally it happened. I was pregnant and we were over the moon. I did everything by the book. I waited until the second trimester and then I submitted my formal request to HR for pregnancy leave. Now, our country's labor laws are complicated. They look great on paper. A full 6 months of paid leave for new mothers. It's a holdover from the old Soviet code. However, in our new hyper-capitalist reality, especially in the private sector, these laws are rarely honored. Most companies find a way to fire you, demote you, or just make your life hell until you quit, and that's sadly the corrupt reality of the country I am living in. But I was not a normal employee, I was the employee. And I was in the middle of the biggest project in Aussie Pipe's history, the Trans-Regional Pipeline. This was a multi-million-dollar monster that would be the company's legacy, and it was at its most critical phase, the final route certification. Without my signature, the project could not break ground. I figured they would be annoyed, but they would have to suck it up. They would pay my leave, beg me to answer emails, which I probably do because I'm a workaholic, and wait for me to come back. But well, I was so wrong. A week after I sent my email to HR, I got a meeting invite from the nephew. The subject was Project Continuity. HR was CC'd, I walked in and the vibe was ice cold. The nephew was sitting at the head of the table, smirking. The HR manager, a woman I'd always been friendly with, would not even make eye contact. The nephew, thank you for coming. We've received your request for your extended holiday. Me, it's not a holiday. It is standard legally mandated pregnancy leave. The nephew laughs, a short barking laugh. Yeah, well, we have run the numbers. Your standard leave coincides exactly with the final certification deadline for the Trans-Regional. The board is not happy. Your absence will delay the project, costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars a day in penalties. Me, that's why I'm training Junior. He can handle the day-to-day. The nephew slams his hand on the table, not hard, but enough to make a point. Junior cannot sign. The Germans have been very clear. They need the ISO XYZ signatory, and that is you. You're abandoning your post, you're failing to meet your project commitments. Me, I'm having a baby. This is a protected legal… The nephew, enough. We're not here to debate the law. We are here to debate your contract, and we are here to find a solution that works for Aussie Pipes. He slid a single piece of paper across the table. The nephew, HR has reviewed your case. Given your unique position as a critical signatory, your 6 months leave request is not approved. I just stared at him. Not approved? It's not a request I can be denied. It's my legal right. The nephew, that right is for office clerks, not for the person holding a massive project hostage. Your employment contract specifies that you will see this project through to certification. Your leave is a breach of that commitment. Me, that's not what the labor code says. The nephew, so the board hath authorized 2 options for you. We are, as you know, very generous. I looked at the HR manager. She was studying the pattern on the carpet. The nephew, option A, we recognize the inconvenience of your situation and we will authorize a one-time paid pregnancy leave stipend. This will be 2 weeks of leave effective immediately. Upon your return, you will receive a one-time bonus of… he checked the paper, $50 US. I blinked. I thought I had misheard him. $50? The nephew, yeah, 50, for your inconvenience. And then you will be back at your desk in 2 weeks to sign the Trans-Regional paperwork. That is our official offer for paid pregnancy leave. Me, that is insane. That's a joke. The nephew, that's the offer, $50, 2 weeks. Me, and option B? The nephew's smirk returned. It was predatory. He had been waiting for this. The nephew, option B is termination. And if you cannot agree to option A and return to work, you will be in breach of your contract. We will have to terminate your employment for failure to meet project commitments. So what is it? The $50 or termination? This was it. This was his checkmate. He knew I was pregnant. He knew I needed the job, the salary, the health insurance. He thought he had me backed into a corner where I would be forced to take the insulting $50, crawl back in 2 weeks, and sign his papers. He would break me, get his project signed, and get rid of me afterwards. I looked at him. I looked at the HR woman who was now visibly trembling. He had me. He really truly had me. I let the silence stretch out. He was practically vibrating with smug joy. Finally, I picked up the piece of paper. I looked at option A/B written on it. Me, so to be perfectly clear for the HR record, my only 2 options as presented by Aussie Pipes are to accept a $50 paid pregnancy leave package or termination, aka getting fired for being pregnant. There are no other options. This is a final offer, right? The nephew, that's correct. We need your decision now. We got a project to run. I took a deep breath. I looked the nephew dead in the eyes. Me, okay, I've made my decision. The nephew, smirking, good. I will have HR process the $50 stipend. Me, no, I will comply with your offer. The nephew, and you will be back on the 15th. Me, I accept the other option. I accept option B. I accept the termination. Do you know that sound a computer makes when you unplug it without shutting it down? That is the sound the nephew's brain made. The smirk just froze and slid off his face. The nephew, what? Me, you gave me two options, option A or option B, termination. I'm complying with your ultimatum. I chose termination. I'm no longer your employee. Please have your HR department draw up my papers. I will need the official letter of termination for my records, stating the reason. The HR manager made a small gasping sound. The nephew, You cannot be serious, you're quitting? You are abandoning the trans-regional? Me, I'm not quitting. You terminated me. Your words. Failure to meet project commitments. I'm simply complying with the choice that you gave me. I do not accept your $50 offer, by the way. Therefore, per your own terms, I'm terminated effective immediately, I assume. I stood up, I took my company badge off my very pregnant person blues and placed it on the table. I took out my office key and placed it next to the badge. The nephew, wait, you are not. Me, I'm still an employee, or am I terminated? You cannot have it both ways. If I'm terminated, I need to leave. I'm no longer authorized to be here. I walked to the door. The nephew, this is insubordination. I will have you will never work in this country again. Me, you've just made sure of that, haven't you? Please send my final papers to my home address and congratulations on optimizing your department. I walked out. I've never walked so fast. I didn't go back to my desk. My personal items were already in a box under my desk as I'd been planning to leave for my real leave soon anyway. I just walked straight out of the building. My phone started ringing before I even got to the car. It was the nephew. I declined. It rang again. The nephew declined. It rang again. HR declined. It rang again. My junior. I answered. Junior. OP? What is happening? The nephew just stormed out of the conference room and threw a chair. He's screaming. He says you quit. Me, I didn't quit, Junior. I was terminated. Listen to me. Don't touch the trans-regional files. Don't sign anything. You understand me? Junior, but the German team is on a video call right now. They are asking for the final seismic projections. Nephew is telling them that you're in a meeting. What do I do? Me, you tell them the truth. You tell them that Azzy Pipes has terminated my employment and you need to speak to the nephew who's your new point of contact. Then you go back to your desk and you update your resume. I'll be a reference for you. I hung up. I drove home, I blocked the nephew's number, I blocked the HR manager's number, and I sat down with my husband and told him what happened. He was terrified for about 10 seconds and then he saw the look on my face and he just started laughing. The real phone call came about 2 hours later. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, voice, what have you done? It was the CEO, his father-in-law. Me, hello sir, I'm not sure what you mean. I was terminated this morning. CEO, terminated? That boy, he told me that you threw your badge at him and quit. He said you demanded $1 million bonus. Me, sir, that's not true. He offered me two options. Either I take a $50 paid pregnancy leave package and return in 2 weeks, or I would be terminated. I have the official offer sheet he gave me in the meeting, by the way, and I have the email chain as well. CEO, you have this in an email? Me, yes, sir. He sent a follow-up email to me and HR as per our discussion to formalize my refusal of the generous option A. He was building a paper trail, he thought, to show that I was the one being unreasonable. I replied, I chose B. He thought I was trapped, he was mistaken. The CEO let a sound out that I can only describe as a dying whale. CEO, my dear, there has been a terrible misunderstanding. That boy, he's a fool, an idiot. He doesn't understand the business. Please, you must come back. This was all a mistake. Me, I'm sorry, sir, I can't. I'm terminated and I'm not legally allowed to access your systems anymore, perform work or sign documents on behalf of Azzy Pipes. Doing so would be fraud. CEO, I will unterminate you right now. You're unfired. I need you to go to the office. The Germans are threatening to invoke the penalty clause. They're on a plane. They'll be here tomorrow. Me, sir, I'm afraid I cannot do that. I'm a free agent and to be honest, I'm feeling very tired. I think I'm gonna start my pregnancy leave early. CEO, we will double your salary, triple it. Just sign the trans-regional papers. Name your price, please. Me, I'm sorry, sir. My price is that I'm not treated like garbage. And you failed at that. Goodbye. I hung up and then I turned off my phone. I kept my phone off for a full week. It was blissful. My husband and I went to a small cabin by the lake. And by the way, guys, just to quickly interject here, if you enjoy the malicious compliance stories, please don't forget to like the video and post a comment to show your support. That would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So when I came back and turned my phone on, I had 148 missed calls and over 300 messages. Here's what I pieced together from my junior, who was updating me daily, and other friends at the company. Day 1, the German consortium, let's call them Europipe, arrived. The nephew tried to bluff them, saying that I was just sick. Day number 2, Europipe, led by a terrifying auditor named Herr Schmidt, demanded to see the ISO signatory in person. The nephew was forced to admit that I was no longer with the company. Furthermore, on day 2, Herr Schmidt informed the CEO that this was a material breach of their funding agreement. As Pipes had guaranteed my presence through the entire certification phase, the project was immediately halted. Day number 3, the CEO, in a rage, publicly fired the nephew. He had him marched out of the building by security. Day 4, Pipes tried to get Junior to sign on my behalf to use your best judgment and approve the file. He, bless him, knew this meant forgery and that he would be the scapegoat. He panicked, told them he wasn't qualified, and sent me a one-line email saying, "They are trying to make me forge it. I'm out." And he quit on the spot. Day number 5, the penalties kicked in. For every day the project was halted, Pipes owed the consortium $250K. On day number 6, the CEO called again. He begged, he pleaded. CEO, we are ruined. Please name your price. A new contract, a signing bonus, $1 million. Just come back and sign the papers. Just this one time. Me, I'm sorry, sir, I can't. CEO, why? Is it money? We will give you the money. Me, no, it's because I'm sitting in the HR office of Caspian Tech and I just signed my new contract. The second I hung up on the CEO that first time, I called the Caspian Tech, name also changed for privacy reasons, owner. They had been trying to poach me for 5 years and I'd always said no out of loyalty. I said, "Hello, the offer you made me last year, is it still on the table?" He just said, "When can you be here?" I told him my situation, the termination, the pregnancy, just everything, but he didn't hesitate. He told me to come in, sign the contract, and then go on my maternity leave. He was not hiring me for the next 8 months. He was hiring me for the next 20 years. He also knew that Pipes was dead without me, and this was his chance to secure the single most valuable asset in the country, my certification. Caspian Tech didn't just match my old salary, they doubled it. They gave me a partner track position, and they gave me a real paid pregnancy leave package, 8 months fully paid, starting after my signing bonus cleared. And well, when I returned to work, Caspian Tech was a very different company. The Trans-Regional Pipeline project had defaulted. Europipe had legally and angrily pulled the entire multi-million-dollar contract from Pipes. The contract went up for rebid, and there were only 2 companies in the country who could possibly bid on it: a bankrupt Pipes who no longer had any certified staff, or Caspian Tech. The proposal Caspian Tech submitted was a masterpiece, and the entire geotechnical section, the most critical part, was written by me. I pointed out in excruciating technical detail all the flaws in Pipes' original unsigned routing and how my new safer route would save the consortium 10% over the life of the project. Caspian Tech won the bid, all of it. Pipes was finished. They lost their flagship project and they were massively in debt from the penalties, and their reputation was shattered. They were forced to sell all of their assets for pennies on the dollar just to pay their creditors. The last I heard, they were fully acquired by a foreign holding company and no longer exist as a brand. The CEO was forced into a very unglamorous retirement. The nephew, last I heard he was selling used cars at his uncle's dealership, and me, I'm now a full partner at Caspian Tech, which is now the largest pipeline company in the country. Never mess with a pregnant woman. And the next one is a fantastic HOA malicious compliance story that you don't want to miss. It is brand new and it is titled "HOA said every violation gets reported." Okay then, every violation gets reported. So I live in a townhouse community outside Boise, Idaho. We have an HOA, but it's usually pretty hands-off, like they deal with landscaping the common areas and that's just about it. 3 months ago, this guy Marcus moved in 2 doors down and immediately joined the HOA board. Not even like waited to see how things work. He just went straight in. He's been sending violation notices for everything. My neighbor got one because her doormat was burgundy instead of brown or black. I didn't even know that was a rule. Another guy got cited because his car was parked 3 inches over his driveway line into the guest spot, and 2 weeks ago I got a notice too. My son left his skateboard on our front porch, and apparently recreational equipment must be stored out of sight. To be clear, it was there for like maybe 4 hours. He had just gotten home from school. I asked Marcus if he could maybe just knock on doors for small stuff before sending these official notices, and he literally said, "Rules are rules. If I make exceptions, where does it end?" Fine, I read the entire HOA covenant, all 47 pages, that nobody's looked at since 2008. It turns out there's rules that nobody follows. Like this one. No security cameras visible from the street. Marcus has a Ring doorbell. No decorative flags except US flag on specific holidays. At least 8 houses have those seasonal garden flags. Garbage bins must be stored in garage. Not visible from street. Everyone keeps it on the side of their house. No vehicles with commercial signage can park overnight. The plumber 3 houses down has his company van. So I started filing reports. Every single violation I saw. I spent like 2 hours walking around with my phone taking photos and filling out the online forms, submitted maybe 30 violations in 1 week. The HOA president called me. She is this retired lady named Joanne who's been doing this volunteer gig for like 15 years and she sounded exhausted. Asked me what I was doing and I said I was just making sure all violations get reported equally. Rules are rules, right? She told me that they've now got to send out all these notices because they're officially filed and it's a mess because half the board members are getting cited, including Marcus, and people are pissed. Marcus came to my door yesterday. He didn't yell or anything, he just looked tired and asked if we could find a reasonable middle ground going forward. I said sure, that sounds good, but now Joanne keeps giving me these looks like I made her life harder and honestly, I feel kind of bad about that part. She didn't do anything wrong after all. And yeah guys, if you want to share any malicious compliance stories with our community, then please feel free to head on over to r/ripe stories on Reddit where you can post your own full-length stories and I might read them in a video. And the next one is another malicious compliance story and it is titled, "In order to request time off, I must fill out a sheet directly below the schedule posted in the break nook that all employees can see and it asks for the reason why I need the time off." So I don't need every single person in the company knowing my personal business, so I never filled that spot in. However, here's the kicker, I was reprimanded for it and refused the time off I was owed. I was told that I had to give a reason. So enter my malicious compliance. In order to comply with the demands, I started getting very specific about completely false made-up reasons. Random Tuesday dentist appointment? Yep. Gambling addiction counseling? Yep. That Friday I cannot work because I'm just sick of this place and I need a mental health day? Well, for sure. Testicular cancer screening. And today I was asked to stop filling in the reason box. And yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories. Please check out my playlist on the left for endless stories and I will see you again tomorrow.